All right then, so now that I've shown you a handful of different things you can do with your Orphic wallet, I'd now like to talk to you about a little routine that I like to do. This is a drawing duplication and it's got a beautiful presentation that allows you to kind of say extra things that you wouldn't usually say if this was just a standard drawing duplication. And you'll see what I mean by that when we get to it. So firstly, I have my Orphic wallet set up, ready to go with all of my everyday stuff as well as billets and a pen. I reach into the wallet, I take out one of these and hand it to my spectator, and I ask them to do a very simple drawing of anything they like. This could be something random. It doesn't have to be perfect or fancy or detailed in any way. All I ask is that you draw something a little more than a basic shape. So not a circle, not a square. Try and be a little bit creative with this. And when you've done that, turn your drawing face down so that nobody here can see what it is that you've drawn. And I don't want anybody else to see what they're drawing because I want them to be on the same page as me. If I've got one spectator that's done a drawing and nobody else has seen it, everybody who's watching can appreciate how difficult this is. Whereas if everybody has seen the drawing and it then goes into the wallet, now it's just me. It's just me trying to guess this. But just theatrically, it's just nicer. If the other spectators watching are in the same boat as you, the same position as you, they have no idea what that drawing is. So then when you are finally able to reveal it, they have literally no clue how you managed to do that because that you started off in the same situation as them. All right, so I've asked them to do a drawing. I went through a phase of asking people to draw something that was meaningful to them in some way, and you can still do that. The only problem is be prepared to sit there for about half an hour while they firstly decide what they're drawing and then actually try and draw it. I just let this be quick and simple, but I encourage them to do more than a circle or a square or something silly, because there's nothing more, because you can reveal anything here, any drawing or anything in the world, yet they have ruined it or made it seem like a lesser effect by drawing a stupid circle or something. So they draw something, whatever they like. I've instructed them to turn it face down. I've got Orphic in my hand, and I reach for the card like this. Now, sometimes people can be a little bit hesitant about handing this over to you. So as I take it off them, I simply say, now I promise I won't look, otherwise there'll be no point in us doing this. And that's gonna stay safely inside here. And I drop it straight down to the table. I haven't got my peak yet, but I don't need to. I'm gonna say something first. So again, I've asked them to do a drawing on here. They've turned it face down. The whole time they're doing that, I'm looking away. They let me know when that's done. And before I turn back around, they say, now, is it turned over? It's face down, right? Just because I want to make sure that it is face down. I take it back from them. And again, if they're hesitant about handing it to me, I say, now, look, I promise I won't look, otherwise there'll be no point in us doing this. I take it from them and say, now, we'll keep that nice and safe in here. That goes down onto the table while I look at them and say, now, this could literally be anything. You could have drawn anything in the world. So if I stand any chance at being able to do this, I need you to daydream about whatever it is that you've drawn. Thinking about something isn't enough. Thoughts disappear as quick as they arrive. But when we're daydreaming, that's when we become immersed in our thoughts and we start to add in extra details. And this is something that we're used to because we do this every day. So whilst you're daydreaming about whatever this thing is, I'm just going to tell you everything I see, think, and feel. And in fact, if there's something I can't describe, I'm going to take one more of these to do my own drawing on as well. I'll try and draw it. All right then, so these go off to the side. Now I've got my peak. I know it's a cat. Now the beautiful thing about this presentation is they're no longer just thinking of a cat. You've asked them to daydream about whatever they've drawn. And I don't know about you, but if I was asked to daydream, if I'd drawn a cat and somebody asked me to daydream about it, I'd imagine being at home and seeing a cat walking around in front of me. It's as simple as that. But that leaves you with so much more you can describe. Whatever you've seen, start to daydream about it yourself and just describe what you're seeing. Trust your imagination to give you something good in the moment. Now, the thing is, if you say something, so for example, if they're thinking about seeing a cat outdoors somewhere, but in my mind it's indoors, they might disagree with that if I say to them, all right, I see you're inside, you're looking down and there's something moving around in front of you. You're not paying much attention to anything else. Your focus is on this one thing and it's moving by itself. Now, if that hits, great, and most of it will. But if they imagine themselves outside and I've said it's inside, it doesn't matter. I've told them I'll tell them everything I see, think, and feel. And that's even better for them in a way, because if they start to think, what he's describing there is not really what I'm thinking, it's only that much stronger when you reveal that you got it exactly spot on. Because now you know they're thinking of a cat, so you can say all kinds of things. All right, in the immediate environment, there's a few other items or objects, a few other things that you could have chosen to draw. And I feel it's one of these. Just focus on what that is in your mind. Take a step closer to it. Okay, so this is something that's living, something breathing. This wasn't made in a factory. And you can start to describe anything you want, anything your mind gives you in this daydream before going, actually, you know what? I've got a feeling it's something like this. And then all I'm going to do is draw pretty much the same thing as them. I hand this to them face down. I say, now, before you look at that, can you tell us all here, what were you dreaming about? And I say that, I don't say, what did you draw? What were you thinking about? I say, what were you dreaming about? Because most of the time, instead of just telling you what they've drawn, they'll tell you what they were seeing in their mind. And if you've already said anything that matches that description, it looks and feels beautiful. But at the end of the day, no matter what they say, eventually they're going to say, I was thinking of a cat. It was a cat that I could see in my mind. And I say, excellent. Now, all I really had to rely on was my imagination. And when I did my drawing, I mean, it's not perfect, but take a look at what I ended up with, and I smile as I say it. Then, of course, they turn this over, and it matches their drawing. And then if you want to, you can take this out of the wallet, turn it face up, and hand it to them as well. But by having them daydream, it just makes it a little bit different from think about this, think. Stop making these conscious efforts and make it more creative and more beautiful. Allow them to explore this inner landscape, and it just brings a whole new dimension to the performance. For example, very recently, I'm doing this exact routine, and the guy has drawn a tennis racket. So again, when I said to him, I need you to daydream about whatever it is that you've drawn, of course he's going to daydream about himself playing tennis. So the first thing I did was look at him and say, for some reason in this dream, are you wearing a pair of shorts? And he said yes, and it got a great laugh from everybody else. And now I've just hit on something that he's thinking about. He hasn't even drawn this, because then I could follow by saying, but what you've drawn, it's not an item of clothing, is it? He says no. And again, if somebody's daydreaming about tennis, okay, there's somebody else opposite you and they're competing against you in some way. I feel that you're outdoors and there's one or two people watching, maybe more than that. And you just describe, so just take the symbol, whatever they've drawn, and think about how you would daydream about it. What imagery would that create? And sometimes you do this and it'll be pretty simple and straightforward, but you've still got that perfect hit for the end. You're still going to know. Out of the millions of possibilities, you've got the exact thing they were thinking about. And if it is an elaborate daydream, like the greatest thing, you'll often find people draw Christmas trees, especially if it's this time of year, towards the end of the year. So if you ask them to daydream about a Christmas tree, most of the time they imagine sitting at home in the living room and the Christmas tree is in the corner. So you can describe where they are, what they're doing, who's around them. If they say no to being sat at home, they could be out in public admiring a big, beautiful, like public Christmas tree. There's so much you can do. Instead of just saying, think about this, and it becomes one very, very specific, narrow thought, by doing this, you're turning it into this beautiful inner landscape, and you're describing elements of that. And honestly, like, it's so much more than a drawing duplication then. You are looking at somebody and telling them everything you see, think, and feel, and you'll surprise yourself with some of the stuff you come out with. And don't forget, they don't know that you know what they've drawn. They could be daydreaming about anything, yet suddenly you start to get quite specific, even more specific and even more, and then you nail that drawing. So again, I won't go through all of that again, but it's as simple as this. This is placed inside, and I drop it straight on the table. All right, you could have drawn literally anything. If I stand any chance at doing this, I need you to daydream about this. Thinking about something isn't enough. Thoughts disappear as quick as they arrive, but I need you to daydream about this. And when we're daydreaming, that's when we become immersed in our thoughts. We start to add in extra details, and it's something that we're used to because we do this every day. So while you're daydreaming about whatever this is, I'm going to tell you everything I see, think, and feel. And if I can't describe what it is that I'm seeing, I'm going to take another piece of paper to draw this on as well. All right then, so keep doing that for me and I'll tell you everything I see, think and feel. Now I've got a few minutes to construct a daydream for myself. I describe what I see, and then when I'm ready, I start to draw whatever it is that I've seen in the peak. And yeah, it is a drawing duplication, but it's a beautiful one, and I hope you have fun with it.